Hey people, so today I am honoured to be having a conversation with a woman who, to me, is just inspirational. I think that's the right word. I've had a few conversations with this lady, and just speaking to her, her wiseness, her advice, her outlook on everything and her experiences is just phenomenal. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to sharing that with you all. So thank you, Yemi, for sitting down with me today.
Thank you for having me.
So, just for everyone that's watching, can you let people know, just introduce yourself, your name, and what your sickle cell status is?
My name is Yemi, and I've got homozygous SS sickle cell.
I really wanted to speak to you because you're British. You were born in the UK, but then you went back to Nigeria when your parents found out that you had sickle cell.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So why was that?
Well, my mom told me that at 6 months old, I developed what was called hands and foot syndrome, where the baby would have swollen hands and swollen feet. And luckily, they got somebody that was able to diagnose me that I had a sickle cell disease. I was in the 60s. And they were both advised to take me back to Nigeria because it's more prevalent in Africa and there'll be more knowledge about it and there'll be more care for me there than here because there was next to nothing that was known about sickle cell there, you know.
So basically, in the 60s in the UK, they hardly knew anything about sickle cell. So they actually advised you to go back there.
Advised my parents to take me back home.
Okay.
And that was what my parents did.
Was that a different experience? And so what did they get from going back to Nigeria? I know it's a lot more prevalent in Nigeria. I think it's one of the highest.
I think it was the best decision they could have made because the experience was there. There were a lot of sickle cell sufferers in Nigeria, and there was a very good quality hospital in those days in Nigeria. And I think that hospital served some parts of West Africa as well. Okay. So the expertise was there, the knowledge was there, infrastructure was there, compared to not having anything here. I think we only had theoretical knowledge here in those days. So me going back to Nigeria was an advantage for me because they knew how to treat sickle cell sufferers there.
Mm-hmm. And what was your upbringing like then? So for the time, how old was you? How long was you in Nigeria for?
I went back to Nigeria when I was a toddler or something like that. And I didn't come back to Britain to live until I was in about 25.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I come here often on holidays with my mother.
Okay.
So my upbringing or the making of me was basically in Nigeria until she died. When she died, then I made the decision to come and live in Britain by myself.
So what was it like growing up in Nigeria with sickle cell?
Well, it's from the kind of family I come from, because I come from a middle class family that are very, very religious, So I wasn't treated in any special way other than to be careful about my health, my diet, my environment, all the knowledge that my parents had, they used to, bring me up. But there were stigmas in the society, but I wasn't really listening to the stigmas because my home environment was comfortable. I didn't have to, I didn't want for anything, so the stigma in Nigeria then, even up till now, doesn't affect me. I'm just cocooned within my family and I had the best upbringing ever. So I really don't have, a negative experience growing up in Nigeria.
So the stigmas were there, but you just didn't pay attention to them?
Because I wasn't exposed to it. I wasn't wanting for anything. So when you hear about the stigmas or you experience the stigma, I saw it growing up as a folklore. Okay. Because from the get-go, I was a determined person. From the very get-go. So when you hear things like, sicklers don't live up to 5, or they die by the time they are 10, or they don't live up to 21, or they never get married, they never get children, I'm like, they're not, definitely not talking about me.
Yeah. Well,
Because I know, I know that I'm a go-getter, and that once I have my mind set on something, and with the enablement of my family, I can do whatever I set my mind to. So those stigmas then, even now, it's like a fable to me. It's not, I don't ever take it personally. That's it.
It's just in one ear, out the other. It doesn't apply to you. That's so good. So you mentioned a lot about obviously your family and having like a really good kind of like network or support system.
That's correct.
Are you one of many? Are you the only child that has
I
sickle?
am one of 6 children by my parents.
Right.
We are a monogamous family, just mother, father, and 6 children. But I'm the only one that's got sickle cell. And I think we have only just 2 traits among us, and the others are AA. So because of that, I am kind of special. I got the special treatment, but it wasn't too special to the point that I'm not grounded.
Yeah.
So it's like I have the treats, the extra treats for, intake of food. Like I get my ribenas and I get my pre-tops and I get my extra proteins and my diet is a little
extra
bit more,
piece of chicken.
exactly, things like that. And the driver takes me everywhere. I don't have to commute. My parents didn't let me live the hard life.
Okay.
I had an easy life out of all of us and the extended family. I was kind of special. I was the only one that had international passport. I was the only one that had, so it's like, but it didn't go to my head though, because I knew I was loved and I was basically a kind person myself. So it wasn't as if, the disparity made the others uncomfortable.
Okay.
Did
your parents know that they were carriers of the trait?
I don't think they knew before I came along.
And did they have any idea? Well, of course they had an idea of what it was because you're permanent in Nigeria. But did they really know what the implications could have been? Or?
They know. I think when I came along, they realized that they should have paid attention to it. But on the other hand, I don't think my parents are the kind of people that would reason, to the point of making their decision based on genotype, because I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't make my decision based on genotype, because when you meet somebody and, you fall in love and you're destined to get married and you have a journey together, you take the good with the bad and the ugly. So that's my parents' attitude to it.
Okay. So moving forward then, so you came to Britain in the 80s?
No.
As in when you came back to live?
No. I came back in 1992.
Oh, in the 90s? Okay.
Yeah.
And did you study in Nigeria or did you study over here?
I did my university education in Nigeria. Had BA in English. And when I got here, I found life very hard and very different from the life I knew in Nigeria. The life I knew in Nigeria, I was cocooned, I was sheltered, I was provided for. I didn't have to worry about anything. But when I got here, there was no driver to take me anywhere. There was nobody to do my shopping for me. So I had to hustle, had to do manual jobs, had to, run around and try and establish myself, because I didn't have the mentality of the welfare state coming from Nigeria. Nigeria, you have to do whatever you have, get whatever you have by yourself. Nobody gives you benefits. Nobody gives you, you don't get things thrown at you, So I had that mindset, and that was what I did for the first 5 years or so.
What was it that made you want to come to the UK then?
Well, because I realized the jeopardy I was in. After my mother died, my dad lost his mom and his wife on the same night. So after my mother died, I knew that my dad wasn't the complete man he used to be. And I didn't want to be a financial liability on him.
Okay.
And because I know that at least for my healthcare, I will be protected if I'm here. In terms of affordability, that was what made my decision to come here.
So the fact that when you was born over here, they were told to kind of take you back because there wasn't a lot of knowledge. Did you do further kind of research before coming to see if that had changed, if there was more
I knew it
awareness?
had changed because I used to come over for holidays.
Okay.
And I used to, I had a GP established by then. I had my records established all the time so I come on my trips. Because by that time I'd started having what was known as leg ulcers.
Right.
So I've been in the system. I knew what was affordable for me. But I didn't know that they still had a problem of understanding here. All I knew was that they had the infrastructure, but they didn't have the practical, hands-on experience of taking care of sicklers. That is the only thing that I found out later when I got here.
Okay. And so then talk me through, so at the time when you came, you thought, okay, I should be okay because the healthcare system is there and it's not going to be too much of an extra expense. But then you finding out the hard way that, okay, actually they have everything, that they should be able to manage this, but actually they don't really have the knowledge. How did you find that out, or what did you have to go through that kind of showed you that?
Growing up and coming from Nigeria, I have two things about me. Anybody that knows me would attribute me having a red cape, that I can do anything. Once I put my superpower capes on, I can do anything. I have that attitude. And the second thing is that I'm very stubborn. I can't be told no.
Okay.
So it's like holding the rag to a bull when you tell me no. So, and because of my upbringing in Nigeria, I was exposed to a lot of medics, as in I have a lot of doctors, pharmacists, hematologists, name it. I have it in the family, in my near community that I can talk to. And I've been so used to talking with them in Nigeria. But anyway, if ever anything happens, I'll develop in my health, and they tell me, oh, you have X, Y, Z, I would ask them what it is. They would explain it to me in a layman's language. And then with the advent of Dr. Google, you can't tell me that I have this and then I'll just stay, silent. I'm very proactive. So in my journey in Britain, they know me that I'm very vocal. If it doesn't add up, I don't care whether you're a consultant or not. I will let you know that it doesn't add up as it relates to me.
Yeah.
I'm not a number. I'm somebody different from whatever else format you've been using. So that has taken me far.
Do you think that came from your upbringing in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Definitely. Because even just speaking to you and knowing about my experience growing up here, from the children's hospital to the adult hospital.
You can't just tell me that this is what is wrong with you. Yeah. And then I'll just say, thank you, ma'am. And that's it.
But that's how the experience for myself more so, and I think for many others has been growing up here. It's very much
I ask them to explain. I argue. I tell them my opinion. I'm very vocal. I'm very insistent.
And would you say that that's worked for you in a positive way?
Definitely.
Were there any situations where that you're happy to share where you feel like if you wasn't headstrong, if you wasn't adamant that you wanted, more details and you wanted to kind of get your opinion across?
On the issue of blood transfusions, when I got to this country, back home in Nigeria, they never used to transfuse me, willy-nilly like that. There has to be a need for transfusion in Nigeria. Yeah. And the need would be that obviously you're anemic, maybe you're hemolyzing, you're going through a crisis and your blood is plummeting. They will transfuse you in Nigeria.
So in an emergency, not just...
But here, I started experiencing things like exchange transfusion. I started experiencing transfusion as a therapy kind of thing. And for some time, I kind of bought into it. But then when I realized that it wasn't doing me any favors, I was getting iron overload on the back of frequent blood transfusion, which didn't be.
So sorry, you were actually when you came over here, they put you on, was it like a regular blood transfusions?
At some point in my journey, I experienced exchange blood transfusion.
How often?
It wasn't regular, maybe every 3 months or something like that. So maybe if I need to travel, and I go to the clinic and they say, and I'm saying to them, I want to go to America for 3 months or something. They look at my HP and, okay, in order for you not to fall ill, let us exchange you before you go. That is fine. But when it came to you wanting to transfuse me every 3 months or less, you want to put a pot on my body.
So that they can
and I'm thinking, why is that necessary? I'm not perpetually anemic. I'm doing good. I can go 3 to 5 months without being anemic. And, on my own steam, I can function, So anyway, the first time I put my foot down with any of the medics was when my HB was very low. I could feel it because anytime I'm anemic at home, I know what I can do and I can't do. I mean, just me going from my bedroom to the bathroom.
You're out of breath.
Yeah. And so you think, okay, what could be wrong? I'm not having a crisis here. What's going on? Okay, maybe I am anemic. And then you go to the clinic or you get your blood done and it's 6 point something, and some smart Alec doctor is telling you, oh, we give you a couple of days to rebound. I'm like, what? 6 point something, you want me to rebound when I'm obviously hemolyzing? That's when I go ballistic with them, and I sing from the rooftop and I create a force so that they will have to listen. So, but now I am established with my carers and my doctors. They know that I know what I'm saying, and they know that no matter how much accolades they have behind their name, oncologists, hematologists, FMP, they are experts in their field, but I am an expert with what is wrong with me. If I say this is what is wrong with me, you better be looking into it and going in that direction. I can't be telling you about my head and you're investigating my leg.
That's true.
I will not accept that.
Do you think then that you had to... Have they always kind of understood that this is you and this is how it's been? Or have you had to go through kind of struggles or battles with communicating that this is how I want to manage my health?
I have gone through battles with them. And I have gone to mediations as well. That hasn't worked well. And I've had to walk away from certain situations and establishments that, I do not expect all our doctors to be loving and kissing and, honey and darling all day long with us. But they need to show empathy that you're a human being sitting across the desk from them. They need to show that they realize that somebody is in pain. They need to show that you have psychological needs. They need to show that you have emotional needs. They are your doctors, they are your consultants. They cannot just be hoity-toity over there, and they cannot come near you and sit beside you on your bed or even hold your hand when you are really in pain. I don't see that as somebody that cares for me. I don't want you to see me as just a number on your list. I want you to see me as an individual. And if I cannot form a friendship with somebody who is caring for me, like, I'm not saying I should be going to their house and be their bosom friends, but just have a friendly outlook. We can share a banter, we can joke when I'm okay to joke, and I can cry and you can understand when I'm ready to cry. If I don't get that from whoever is caring for me, I cannot get comfortable with them. So I've had to fight to establish that where I am at now.
And do you think that anything has changed since you coming over here in the 90s and now it's like 2021, hearing, from the experience that you experienced then compared to, I wouldn't say your care and your treatment now, but do you think that there's been an improvement or any change in that time?
You see, what I think personally is that in the community of us warriors or sicklers, as we call ourselves, in Britain particularly, we take 1 step forward and 3 steps backwards. There's a lot that could have been done, and there's a lot that have been attempted for them to do and establish for us. But for some reason, we always end up on the back burner. So I haven't personally seen any significant change. Personally, the only thing that I know is that I have situated myself in a position where it's working for me. Personally, I'm not talking about the larger umbrella of sicklers, but I know what it is. I know where I need to be going. I know what I want. I know what the solution is. We talk, we engage, and that's it. We come to a solution. I'm not saying that I know everything, but with guidance from them, I would listen. And if it makes sense to me, I'll take it on board. If it doesn't make sense to me, I'll put my own opinions forward. I don't think things have changed a lot since I came to now. I don't think so.
That's just like, it's sad because I feel like in my lifetime, I can speak to people and they will say, things are getting better, things are changing. But then I'll have conversations with like yourself, and exact same experiences that you had back in the 90s is exactly what's still happening today.
Exactly.
and it's just sad.
I think I don't mean to be political, but there's a bit of politics in it, and our community, as in Black community, people from Mediterranean, people that are afflicted with sickle cell, I think we need to be empowered more. We need to have our voice heard more.
I was going to ask you, what do you think could change that, or what do you think would help it?
In my days when I was, nearly here, I think I came here in my late 20s or so. So in my 30s and 40s, I did a lot of work with Oscar Birmingham.
Yes.
In those days, and I knew what plans was in the pipeline for us. Like having a respite building dedicated to us, having certain services dedicated to us, and then all of a sudden, the finances have evaporated. The house is being built with low-cost housing. All the fight you're putting in, you're losing. And then gradually people just lose interest, and we seem to be stuck in the same place. So that's why I think we need to empower ourselves more and be heard more in public arena and make a force. Because God knows that for other ailments like cancer or other things that are equally as bad and life-limiting, there's enough funding for it.
Do you think then, because I know what I think about this, but that sickle cell is largely underfunded because it predominantly affects Black people?
Definitely. There's no other way to interpret it. There's no other way of interpreting it. It's just the fact of the matter. We're trying to claw a little bit, each time we try, but we kept getting knocked back. And I don't think, it's okay for them to celebrate Sickle Cell Week, World Sickle Cell Day. Yeah. We found a new drug, blah, 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 just dance to the media.
For a day or two, and then that's it. But for us, it's like an everyday thing.
So that's just a shame that, we're still stuck in that mindset. But hey, what can we do?
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit more about your life. So how do you manage your health on a day-to-day basis? Do you have children? Do you have a partner? How do you stay not stressed?
Well, like I said, I'm a very determined person.
With your red cake.
But on the other hand, there's a part of me that hardly anybody knows. I don't like pity party. I like to hibernate. I don't like to exhibit my vulnerabilities to people. So when I'm feeling vulnerable, I'm behind closed doors. When I'm feeling sorry for myself, it's behind closed doors. But when I'm okay, psychologically and emotionally, I'm out there helping, doing for others, not concerned about me.
So you're selfless then?
In a way, yes, I am. But I'm not going to toot it.
I will toot it.
But I did have a partner, but it is what it is.
Do you think having sickle cell has impacted your life in terms of like marriage, partners, and things like that?
Definitely. Because being in Nigeria, and because of the social circle that I orbit in, the understanding in the Nigerian community is very backward and archaic. They see sickle cell sufferers as a liability.
Okay.
That's all they see. Once you tell a man that you've got sickle cell disease, they don't want to know anymore. They only want to know you when you're a trophy wife, when you're pretty enough for them to take to social parties, where the magazines can display your photographs, but they don't want to stay around when you're retching with opiates, pump full of opiates, you can't talk, you're in pain, and all the other things that come along with sickle cell disease. So it's my faith that sustains me psychologically. If you have a very strong faith, you just accept the hands that life has dealt you. You make the most of it, and you deal with it the best you can. If it's your ordination to be married, good for you. If it's your ordination to have children, good for you. But if those things doesn't happen to you, doesn't mean it's the end of your life. Sickle cell is what you have. It's not who you are. So there's still a lot of aspects of living that you can find fulfillment in,
So you even knowing that this is how kind of sickle cell is viewed coming from like Nigeria and stuff like that, it's like you're just so determined that it doesn't even matter, you just don't care, it doesn't affect you.
I am who I am. I live my life. However long I'm ordained to be on this earth, I'll be here. If I have a good day, alhamdulillah. If I have a rough day, alhamdulillah. It is what it is. I can't change it. I cannot say I'm a different Yemi without sickle cell. Because without sickle cell, there's no Yemi.
That's true.
You understand what I'm saying? So you just have to roll with it and keep being positive. That's all you can do.
So you don't have children, you're not married, not married.
No.
Is that just because of your kind of outlook and you didn't want anything to impact you, or
would say that. I would say it's destiny.
Okay.
I would say it's ordination. It's not for lack of trying. Every little girl, every teenager, every middle-aged woman wants to get married and have children. But when you don't find the right spouse, or if you get pregnant and for some reason you lose that pregnancy because of sickle cell, then you just have to accept that. Look, I'm better off being alive and being more useful in other realms of my life than having a short life or having a life that doesn't have value. So it's better for you to just keep going and be a useful member of the human race than dwell on what you can have, because we are not all meant to have the same thing in life. It's not all of us are meant to be married. Not all of us are meant to have children. And not all the people that have children will their children outlive them. So you just take your ordination and you just go with it. That's it.
Did you put much thought into when you were kind of dating or looking for a husband? Did your partner's HB status impact the choices that you made or whatever? Was that a thing? Were you public about you having sickle cell, or if asking them if they did?
When I was growing up, like I said to you, I was very, very sheltered. I hardly left my home without a chaperone or without a driver taking me XYZ, So the idea of vetting somebody for their genotype when I eventually met them didn't even occur to me.
It was just like, I'm out.
and I was a late developer anyway when I was younger. So I probably didn't get my first boyfriend until I was 22 or thereabout. And he was a doctor, so he should know better. Not me.
He should know better than you.
But we did get into a relationship for about 5 years. But like I said, all the while I'm saying about ordination, it wasn't meant to be. Our journey wasn't meant to end up in having a family or having children. But I did have a good 5 years of relationship with him, But for me, when people found out that he was AS and I'm SS, people were saying, "Oh, well, you're SS. I can go." Like, look, you cannot vet. You're not the one that's going to engineer the kind of person you fall in love with. This has gone beyond me doing anything about it. I'm in love with him. So if I'm meant to have sicklers as children, then I'm meant to have sicklers as children. After all, my parents had me. And it's a good outcome. It's not a sentence of,
No, because you're still here.
It's going to be heart-wrenching if you have a child that's got sickle cell.
I was going to ask, how do you feel about, because there is a lot of stigma around, people should make sure that they don't have children that
if you can control certain things about your life, probably fine, you can do that. But if the universe has a master plan for you, no matter how careful, no matter how all the checks and balances you do, your life is going to be what it's going to be.
So you believe people should just kind of...
I'm not saying you should be stupid. I'm not saying to SSU make the conscious decision to marry themselves. But if, like I said, there's a further dimension into the equation that is beyond their control, there's nothing they can do about it. Whatever problems or whatever solution happens from that union, they grow with it. They live with it. I'm very spiritual, so at the end of the day, that's where I pack all my problems. I pack it on my spirituality, and that's it.
Do you think that there's enough support for people that, you know, live with sickle cell, even at your age where you are now? Do you feel like there's support there, or there's services there that are there to help?
There's very limited support, very limited services. There are 1 or 2 charities that are trying their best to provide, extra, support for sufferers. But because everything goes back to financial funding as well. They are limited in what they can do, Most times we need the therapist not only for the body. We need therapists for the head and the mind as well.
Definitely.
But there's nowhere that is designated for us to go to for such services. So you have to do what is available to you. For me, for example, I rely on my family. I'm not a friend kind of person, because I like to just I'm very private. Let's just say that, not that I'm antisocial or I don't have friends, but I'm not like into friends like that, but I'm into my family. And where my family are concerned, I'm very selfless and I'm always out there. And I want to mommy everybody. But when it's time for somebody to mommy me, I close my doors. I go off the radar. I just want to be on my own space, own my own head, and therapy myself. And when I feel I've gone so low, I start working myself.
Then you work yourself back up again.
That's it.
How do you, what complications have you kind of experienced with sickle cell, and how do you look after yourself? Because to me, I feel like you're very much, I'm going to do what I can for myself as much as possible before then having to go and speak to, go to hospital and let somebody else then take over.
If you've grown up with it, for as long as I have, the most important thing is for you to learn about who you are and what constitutes you. For example, I don't know what would stress you, but my own triggers would be extreme happiness, extreme sadness, extreme cold, extreme heat, stress. Those are the things. So for you and I now, in our day-to-day lives, I cannot do fisticuffs with you. I cannot have an argument with you and we'll be raising our voices. You will walk away scot-free and I'll end up taking pethidine and morphine because I'll go into crisis definitely. So situations like that, I avoid it, But if I get into a crisis because of other things, like maybe the weather is cold, or it's raining. Sometimes it's raining outside. I don't even know that it's raining outside. My house is warm, but the fact that it's raining outside, my bone,
you can feel it in your body.
My bone feels it, and then So things like that, you have to look out for. You have to eat the best you can. Avoid junk food, your medication, and then if you can, supplements. I use supplements as well. So what I think I try to be reasonable when I'm out of my depth. If I go into a crisis at home and I'm thinking, okay, now this is not just about pain and paracetamol and morphine anymore. Something else is happening.
Something is wrong.
Maybe I'm having an infection. Maybe I'm, my anemia is on, I check it at home myself. Not my blood, but in terms of infection, if my temperature is all right, if my blood stats is all right, my oxygen intake is all right, or, if I notice all of those things are not quite right, then I'm going to the hospital. But I try to hang on as much as I can at home, because hospital is the last place I want to be. I believe that our homes are much more comfortable for us than hospital, because of the medics and their attitudes. Don't even get me started on that.
Oh no, we're gonna get started on that.
So I'd rather do the best I can at home. And I've got a lovely family around me. I've got a good family support.
So the need to, or the want to stay at home as long as possible, or as much as possible, without then being like, not being sensible about it.
In a danger zone.
Yeah. Is what is it that makes a hospital so bad that you just don't want to go?
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe you can tell me like the top three.
I don't know what has happened before I came back to UK to live. But from the points that I came back to live till today, there's been a stigma about sickle cell sufferers among the supposed healthcare providers. They see most of us as attention seekers. They see most of us as being dependent on opiates. They see most of us as being unreasonable. They don't see the dignity in us. That, we have our own dignity, we have our own aspirations, we have our own lives. I said the other time that I'm a graduate. I've not been able to work with my certificate for God knows how long now, because our health is so unpredictable.
Yeah.
How many employers are going to keep you on? Even though I did work with Max and Spencer for 10 years, but in the end, at the age of 40, they had to offer me retirement. It's not what I want to do. I'd rather be in the shoe of that nurse that is looking at me condescendingly than be in the bed where she's bringing me the pethidine to take. They don't see us as somebody who has aspirations. So why would you want to go to a hospital like that? And then for me personally, I think I react to hospitals because there's no time I'm in hospital that I don't get a personal rush.
Yeah.
I cannot use the toilet. I cannot use the bedpan. There's nothing there that is comfortable for me. Meanwhile, my house is luxurious and comfortable. So why do I want to leave all of that and go to one nurse that doesn't know what she's doing? When you're prescribed your medication every 2 hourly, they have a way of prolonging it to every 3 hours or every 4 hours for you. So in the interim, when you're in pain, you're not supposed to cry out that you're in pain. So why would you want to go to hospital where almost 50% of the nurses don't have empathy? They don't have that professionalism about them. And your so-called consultants don't have the experience. They have to refer to textbooks and other people's theories or fact findings before they can come at you and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan, Or sometimes you have to be signposting them to what you think is wrong.
Was that different? How does it compare to, I know you left Nigeria, but was it the similar experience when you was in hospital in Nigeria? Or were they, are they empathetic, they understand?
Very much so.
Wow.
Very much so. Living in Nigeria and growing up in Nigeria is about affordability. If you are lucky enough to come from a middle class family and you can afford your healthcare provision, then the healthcare provider are very, very humane. They have the professionalism to bring to work. They don't have this attitude with you that you've come on admission just to become a nuisance or just to be crying the ward down or just for them to be serving you every 2 hours. They know that it's a need that you have. And anyway, if their bosses, who is the doctor, who are the doctors, are giving the nurses instructions, they dare not follow it to the letter. But here, everything is like everybody has their own compartment. The doctors write it and that is it.
You're basically saying that in the UK, everyone does their own thing.
Yeah, it's disjointed because the nurses would tell you something else and the doctors will, theirs is just to look over, you give their opinion, write down whatever they need to write down. And then it's for the nurses to carry it out in their own ways and airs and graces, in their own time. Maybe they're underworked, I don't know. And then each department has their own protocol. So for the period where you're in the hospital, everything is so disjointed. And you're supposed to put up with it. Because even though I like to make a fuss.
But dare you make a fuss? I
like to make a fuss, but I choose my battles, actually. Because, But if you dare make a fuss, then you become a pariah. Everyone, Raliat is, because my official name is Raliat. So if you keep too much, then that even makes you a target, even more, So you have to know when to choose your battles, and that's I'm very adept at.
What would you say if you could give advice to anyone kind of younger than you, living with sickle cell or growing up with sickle cell today? What advice would you give them?
My first advice as a sickle cell sufferer is that you must be proactive about your situation. By that I mean you talk to people a lot. You find out what is the matter with you. You get them to break it down in a layman's language. If you are not satisfied with that, you seek for a second opinion. We are empowered these days with technology. There's Dr. Google. you put all of that together as it concerns you. You look out for what is best for yourself. Your rehydration has to be constant. And you must always carry your medication with you. Because God forbid you fall into a crisis in an environment where they don't know you. And you are not able to express yourself. That's going to be a problem. Try, everybody likes junk food. But try and eat healthily. Try and be sensible. Try and, dress appropriately according to the weather as well. Even though it's summertime, there's no time during the year that I don't wear my thermal underwear. Even if it's just a light force 1 thermal underwear to force 2, until you get to the summer thermal, there's always something underneath. So you have to kind of layer up because the weather is so unpredictable. So those are the things I'll be telling my child, sickler, if I had one. These are the things that you can do for yourself. And you must be able to identify what your limits are, what your triggers are. That's why I don't do friends. I don't do friends because they are likely to push you into,
situations that you might, yeah.
So if I do friends, it's always at arm's length, something I can control. Whatever I do, it has to be something on my own terms, not on anybody else's terms. So either you take me or you leave me. I don't give a shiz about.
I'm taking it.
I don't give a shiz about anybody's opinion about me, because I know that those who know me value me. So that's all I need.
Thank you so much for talking to me. Do you have anything that you want to ask me or any questions?
Well, I've spoken with you a couple of times and I've observed you. You seem to have the right mind frame. You're in the right space in your head. And you've established how to, live your life, and it's working for you. So I really don't have anything else that can input. As you're going older in your journey, you continue to discover who you are. And it is who you are that matters, not what people expect you to be. People's opinion should not matter. And you must never seek validation from anybody else. As long as you're happy with yourself,
there you have it, guys.
Okay. It doesn't matter, so...
Thank you so much. It's been absolutely amazing speaking to you, and I just feel you have such a lovely energy. I feel like I've been blessed to the whole conversation. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm glad I did it.